All right, folks, there's a deep concern in Rockdale County in Georgia after students at Honey Creek Elementary School walked into class and found signs reading whites only and colors only. The teacher says the lesson was meant to teach about civil rights icon Ruby Bridges, but the teacher reportedly used unapproved materials, sparking outrage among parents and prompting an investigation. One mother spoke out at the school board meeting, saying her child was hurt and she was shamed online for speaking up. The Georgia NAACP called the incident a chilling echo of segregation, demanding action, not just apologies. They said, let us be clear, there's no place in our schools or in any public space for racism, hate, or ignorance. What occurred in Rockdale County is more than a prank or isolated behavior. It reflects the ongoing need for serious, intentional education about our country's history of racial discrimination and the continued work required to build inclusive, respectful environments for all students. I mean, Derek, you're there in Georgia. I don't understand. If you're going to do this kind of lesson, you kind of might want to have some broader conversations so there's no confusion.
Yeah, Roland, but here's the unfortunate thing. The Georgia General Assembly just passed a bill, Senate Bill 36, religious freedom, that allows for these types of events to occur. I mean, you know, and Governor Kemp, he signed that bill into law immediately. And he signed it into law on the day we were recognizing the assassination of Dr. King, April 4th. And this is, I mean, he didn't waste no time, Roland. He did it on the day we were recognizing the 57 years of Dr. King being assassinated. We were talking about the life and legacy of Dr. King on April 4th. And on that same day, he signed into law the Religious Freedom Bill, Senate Bill 36. And this was one of the things, yours truly went to the well and said, if you sign this bill into law, you're going to start seeing colored bathroom, white bathroom. You're going to start seeing these things. And they were motivated, Republicans were motivated, Roland, when that orange dude that's occupying the Oval Office did an executive order to overturn an executive order from LBJ, executive order, which basically said that any contract, federal contract, if you abide by any kind of form of segregation, you will not get a federal contract. And so when that executive action took place a week and a half ago, the Republicans right here in Georgia put into motion Senate Bill 36, and Governor Kemp signed into law on April 4th of this year. This is what happened. I just don't get, Matt, Matt, that if you're going to do one of these lessons, you might want to cross all T's and dot all I's.
Yeah, you know, look, to me, the biggest failure in this lesson was not letting the parents know the lesson was going to be taught this way. That's where I think the failure really exists, because it creates an environment where you then have to ask whether it was truly a pedagogical thing. They were going to teach the kids about Ruby Bridges, or whether somebody, you know, was out there trying to foment hate, basically, by posting these signs and tried to cover themselves by claiming, oh, this was about teaching Ruby Bridges. I will say there's a part of me, a pretty healthy part of me, that says I actually think from a thought perspective, it's an important thing for younger people and people in general to be reminded of how recent the civil rights movement was and how real it was. I think we lose sight of that it was people, you know, in my own father's lifetime, he was sitting in class when his teacher came in and said Dr. King had been assassinated, right? And he tells me to this day vividly that he remembers her bawling her eyes out in his class. That happened in my father's lifetime. It was not that long ago. So the idea of having signs to teach children how serious this was and to teach children how far we've come, even if we're backsliding now, I understand doing that in a way that can be pretty demonstrative. I think the problem here, though, is if you don't let the parents know that, then it creates a confusion as about whether this was really pedagogical or whether there was something else at play, to Derek's point about recent bills that are passed and all the craziness that we see, kind of in the national forum. So I'm not opposed to this as a teaching tool, I think, with the right preface, but it sounds like they didn't do enough of a preface, and that calls into question whether it was truly intended to be a teaching tool.
Listen, Michael, I believe these sort of lessons should be taught, but yeah, you might want to kind of do it right. Yeah, you may want to think it through.
Yeah, you want to get some help. So there are a few things here. Number one, when you look at resources for teachers, and I've looked at a lot of resources. I use some of those when I teach my classes and do my lectures. One of the things they tell you, and there was one called Teaching Hard History, American Slavery. And if you don't mind, I'll just show the document. This is from the Southern Poverty Law Center. This actually helps teachers teach about the history of slavery, and you can use some of those same lessons and cautions when it comes to the civil rights movement. One of the things they say don't do is do reenactments. OK, so this is a situation where it seems like the teacher had good intentions, but there are resources that can help them, like from the Zen Education Project. They have a lot of good resources for teachers to teach various aspects of history. Also, ASALA.org, which is Association for the Study of African American Life and History, which is the organization that Dr. Carter G. Woodson created, who created Negro History Week. So there's a sensitivity, and with these various lessons that come from these different organizations, they're also age appropriate. OK, so it sounds like there was good intention, but when you start putting these signs up around the school, things like this, it can also be very traumatizing to African-American students. And this is something that we want to avoid. So you want to reach out and get those types of materials that are age appropriate and for educators, and then present that to whoever needs to approve it as well.
Again, if you're going to do it, make it make some sense and don't do it haphazard. That's really what the goal is. All right.
Here at Sage and Elm, it's a plant thing. Everything is made by hand from plants, from our salves to our soaps, our lotions, our oils. Come shop our over 400 products made by hand from plants just for you, because you deserve the best.
Did you know that the Washington Monument is based upon an ancient African structure called a tekken that comes from the mythology of Asar, Arset, and Heru, who the Greeks called Osiris, Isis, and Horus? Did you know that the panther deity Bast in the movie Black Panther and Wakanda Forever comes from an ancient African deity, a neter in ancient Egypt, ancient Kemet, called Bastet? Did you know that there were 17 pyramids found buried underneath Egypt around 2011? Also, the city of Memphis, Tennessee. What's the relationship between Memphis, Tennessee and Memphis in ancient Egypt? I'm historian and national political commentator Michael Imhotep. Be sure to register for my new 12-week online history course, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Kemet is one of the original names for Egypt. We deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. Did you know that the word Wakanda is a real word? We find it in the Key Congo language, which is a Bantu language, but we also find it in the Omaha Ponca and Sioux Indian Native American languages. My class starts up Saturday, March 1st, 2025, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a 12-week online history course. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. We do with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. When we talk about the transatlantic slave trade, we can't start our studying of the history in 1619 in Hampton, Virginia, or in Jamestown. We can't start in 1441 with the transatlantic slave trade starting with the Portuguese. We have to deal with thousands of years of history that leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We'll deal with the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors, who take the teachings from the Nile Valley region of Africa into Europe, and this is what brings Europe out of the Dark Ages. We'll talk about ancient African empires, whether we deal with ancient Nubia, whether we deal with Kush, Kemet, Mali, Songhai, Ghana. This is a 12-week online history course. We deal with 80 to 100 articles. There are 200 slides that I show you in the class. There are video clips. There are 15 books that we reference. You don't have to buy any of the books to follow along in class. It's a very visual class, so we show you all that information right on the screen. The class is PG-13 as well, so you can use this with your children. Download my lesson plan from my website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Register right now. Right now, it's correct strong behaviors, not over till we win. Wakanda forever. AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We'll see you in class. Peace.
Is your child struggling with reading, writing, learning loss, and a culturally irrelevant curriculum? Do you want your child to be outstanding at reading and writing and also take pride in their culture? Then you want Reading Revolution Online. Reading Revolution Online is a web-based reading support program. We serve scholars in grades K through 8, and through our innovative approach, we help them build reading confidence and cultural identity development, equipping them for success in school and life. They learn about Black heroes and sheroes through captioned videos, reading selections, and other activities. Reading Revolution Online is an experience for the whole family. Do it for the culture. Go to readingrevolution.org and get your membership today.
Here at Sage and Elm, it's a plant thing. Everything is made by hand from plants, from our salves to our soaps, our lotions, our oils. Come shop our over 400 products made by hand from plants just for you, because you deserve the best.